Hello, it's Melinda from Alexis and Melinda's Art Space. How you going today? So it's another edition of The Good, The Bad, The Ugly, I think I called this series. I actually looked up the last video I did and it was nearly 2 years ago. It'd be 2 years in 2 months, so yeah. I sort of was using up stuff, but only little stuff, so my box wasn't getting very full. Then I went looking for something and I found a lot of neglected supplies that had gone bad, so that sort of filled another box. And I used up a couple of bigger things, so I thought it's about time to clean out my boxes, throw all this out, and start afresh for 2023. So let's move this just out of the way for a minute. So what are we going to start with? Let's start with the big stuff, and then I can take that out and throw it back in the box. So used up a bunch of glue sticks. So this is about 2 years worth, and I just have this box in the back of my wardrobe, and every time I use up something I just throw it in there, so it's not taking up room on my desk or anything. I used up lots of glue sticks. Obviously like Yoo-hoo glue sticks. I got these really cheap a couple of years ago. They were like $1 at back to school time. I prefer Yoo-hoo, but I will buy other brands. These two are from Aldi. They're pretty good. So again, at school time they're pretty cheap. And Anko is a Kmart brand, so again they're pretty good. Mainly for sticking paper to paper. I have started a couple of new art journals. So I stick a lot of pages together in my altered book art journals. And I've been doing a lot of more magazine collage, so that glue is really only good for that. Then I used up 2 of these Delusions glue sticks. I'm on the fence about these. I'm having trouble with them sticking down paper over paint. And I see Delusions, I see Diane Reevely do it all the time, and she says she uses her glue sticks because they work. I don't know, I can't get them to work, whether it's something I'm doing, whether my paint's too thick or shiny, I don't know. But I do prefer, when I'm sticking stuff over paint, to use a bit better adhesive, or a bit more robust adhesive. Let's just pick a couple of things out of my box. So I used up the final bit of a couple of paper paint pens. Don't know why they're called paper pen. They have a really fine tip on them. They have acrylic paint in them, and you make little blobs and swirls. Alexis loves using these, so she used up a lot of this. So I will repurchase these. I just got to decide what colours I want. These come in a kit, and that's how I was introduced to them many, many moons ago. So I was glad to get those out of my stash. Bunch of pens I will do in a minute. Yeah, a bunch of pens. I've been doing lots of doodling. Let me get this out of here. I'm trying to get my box out of the way. So I'm going to quickly scoot. Whoops. So let's go through the box, then I can throw everything in the box and off to the side. So let's just... I've got all this stacked up. So we used up some... These little plastic rolls are like plastic washi that I bought or got in a kit or something. So I'm trying to use those up. So 4 of those rolls are gone. Then I used up some duct tape. So I was putting that on the side of my journals. There's some more duct tape, coloured duct tape. Some glue dots. They should be over in the other section. Used up some Black Star washi. Trying to use up my washi stash. Oh, there's another one of those little coloured ones. Washi tape does have a shelf life, I've noticed. This one is dead. It's just, it won't come off. So you can see how much is still left on it. So it's wasteful. Whoops. So trying to use up washi this year. I believe this was another little roller washi. This was actually like paper. So you peeled it off and then it had like a backing on it, which was really good. It was craft with gold stripes. So I used that up. A couple more rolls of washi. I've even been using washi in my classes, and we still can't kill the rolls. I believe the rolls go on forever. 3 rolls of foam tape. Must have done a fair bit of card making in the last little bit. Is there any more foam tape on here? No. So a really old roll of masking tape. That might be actually good to keep too. No, I'm not going to keep it. It's a little sticky. It's not sticky enough as it is, and it's all discoloured, so I thought I would throw that out. Some more masking tape. I use it between the gutters of my books, and I use it to mask a lot of stuff off as well. 3 rolls of my favourite tape. I must have done a lot of scrapbooking in the last 2 years. So Couture Creations, I buy this from Hillbilly Scrapping in a pack of 10, and it's really reasonably priced and really good stuff. I just wish it would come in the thinner one. These are a couple of rolls of thin tape that have just disintegrated. This is Express It tape, but seriously, these rolls would probably be 8 to 10 years old. So no wonder they've decided to hit the point of I'm not going to work anymore. let me just throw these back in here so I can put my bucket off to the side. My bin will be full tonight. It's bin night too, so that's why I thought I'd get this done. So I used up a whole container of acrylic matte medium. I love, love, love this stuff for sticking down napkins, thin papers. It is fantastic stuff. So I finally used a bottle of that up. So you can see how big the bottles are. I think it's 250 mils. So it does take quite a while to go through a bottle. Used up another one of my semi-favourite glues. I really like this glue because you can just put a fine needle tip in the top and get a fine point on your glue. Some other glues just erupt up the top and volcano out, and they come out way too quick. Don't think the reject shop carries that anymore. I haven't seen it for ages. Oh, I'm a bit sad about that. Okay, let's get on with the pens. Unfortunately, quite a few of these have dried out, which is a bit of a shame. Trying to find the ones that have dried out. So 2 highlighters I've gone through. I highlighted a lot of stuff in my diaries for work, so I just threw these in here as well. These are just from Daiso, so they're not very expensive. Just trying to make room in my little box. So these, unfortunately, the lids came off and they dried out. I think the black one I actually used up mostly, but unfortunately these couple, the lids weren't put on correctly, which I've got no one to blame but myself. So an alcohol marker and a couple of markers from Kmart. Big thick oil-based marker. I probably won't repurchase again from Daiso. It stinks to high heaven, but it does have a really big tip on it. But I find I like the chisel tip, if I can get it off. No, that's the ballpoint tip. I love the big chisel nip on it, but when you put it back in the cap, it smashes it. Maybe it's just me, but I don't like it because of the smell. So we used up a bunch. These are the pens I use for... I'm doing a lot of line work lately. Line work in my art journals. So I like these ones because they're a nice thin tip. So these are a Uniball Micro I. So I love these. And I do a lot of my line work in the background, a lot of my sketching as well. And I like the thicker ones as well. So those get used up very quickly. Then we've got white gel pens. Now a couple of these white gel pens, I've got 2 of those for some reason. Not that one I'll talk about in a minute. So white gel pens, I've used up most of these. A couple of them I found in a really old box, so unfortunately they're really old. What I'm trying to do now is I have, oops, just knocked my microphone. This is my current white stash of pens. So when I finish with a white pen, it goes back in here. I have a black one as well. These little cases come from Daiso in Melbourne when we went last down for shopping. So I have a habit of just clearing off my desk, throwing stuff everywhere, losing stuff. And paint pens and gel pens, if you don't consistently use them, they will clog up and then they'll no longer work. And 2 of these are like that because they got neglected and lost in a box. So these are my current white pens. When I'm finished, it goes back in this little container. It's been working well for a few months. I don't lose things. I don't open more than one of a certain tip, hopefully. So that is working well so far. So hopefully I don't get any more pens that are running out. I have been doing a lot of line work and sort of doodling in my art journal, so I go through a heap of black pens. I suppose that's not bad for 2 years actually. So 3 of the thicker ones, 1 of the little ones and 1 of the in-between ones. So I love the Posca paint pens, but they are quite pricey, $5 or $6 each. But they last quite a long time. And then we've got white ones, so I go through quite a few white ones as well. This one's a chalk paint marker that I found in my stash that I don't like the chalkiness of it because it rubs off, but these are acrylic white paint, so they go on really nicely. You find with paint pens, if you leave them too long not used and you don't use them frequently, the tip will dry out. So hence why I'm trying to have this concept and only have one of each open and not lose them, and then I have less chance of the tip drying out and not being able to rejuvenate it. So we've got, I'll do those in a minute. So I've got a couple of Sharpie pens, so I use these for all sorts of stuff, drawing and illustrating in my books. Emboss It pen. Don't know why it says emboss on it. Again, another one that ran out. Water-based pen. That one was quite old. These two white paint pens, this brand I don't like. It's called the Art Studio. I got them for Riot Art and Craft for $1, and I do have some other colours to use up. The only problem is the cap has holes in it. So when you activate this pen, when you put the cap back on, it doesn't seal it properly. I even tried Glad Wrap over the top of it, but I just can't get these ones to work. So and this one is totally, this pen nib is totally jammed up. You can't even push it down. So those will not be a repurchase again. They were only down to $1, so I tried some. As I said, I've got some coloured ones to use up. Hopefully they work better than white ones, but I like to try different, cheaper alternatives. So I thought if they worked really well, it'd save me buying a white pen for $5, but they didn't work. So what did I waste $1? Delusions pens. Oh, I have a love-hate relationship with these. I think I buggered these two or wrecked these two because I have gone over wet medium with them. So I like how fine the pens are, but I think I've wrecked these two by being impatient. So I do have a new pack somewhere in my stash that haven't been activated yet. Sometimes if you sit them there for a little while in the sin bin, they'll come back, but it's not coming back. You can see it's full of ink, full of paint. And this one's full of paint too. So yes, I like the pens, but I don't know, for some reason I've wrecked these two. I'm hoping to not wreck the next two out of the package. Don't know whether I'll repurchase them. I have a better luck with Posca pens. Personal choice. Another pen from Daiso. This is a brush tip one that again dried out after using it lots and lots. And then just an Artline 700 permanent black marker. And I was sad when this one finally decided it didn't want to work anymore. It was a bronze pit pen in a brush. So it just does not want to work anymore. I've used it and used it, and it doesn't want to work anymore. So that was all. That was all the pens. I'm doing a lot more line work lately. It calms my brain, and it's just relaxing. And I can pull out an art journal and doing a lot of drawing on magazines and stuff. So a lot of it you're not seeing. It's just personal stuff. But I am going through a lot of paint pens. Used up my little jar of white gesso. So back in 2020, I bought a litre of white gesso and put it down into smaller containers. So I've just used this one up. I've got, just reaching over, I've got a spaghetti jar to go. And then I think I've got another one of these. This one's about half full. Sometimes when these ones are half full, I'll take it and put it into a smaller jar. I wonder if this lid comes off. I wonder if I could dunk it into here. Possibly could. I might do that actually, because when the jars get about half of the product left and half of the jar, it doesn't matter if it's a glass jar or a commercial jar you buy them in, there's a lot of air in there and it tends to dry it out. So I may keep this jar. I like the little Vegemite jars because they're smaller, and put my white gesso into that. Now, what have we got in this container? This was some clear gesso I used the end of. This was homemade clear gesso into a squirty bottle. I now buy commercial clear gesso that I do like. I found one I really, really like and a good price. Don't know whether I'll make myself clear gesso again. It worked really well. Found a recipe on the internet, but I just don't have time to do that at the moment. What else have we got in here? So I used up, well, that one's broken. Oh no, that one's used up. That one's broken. These are just $1 whiteout tapes. That one broke as well. So I used up 4 of them, broke 2 of them, but they're only like $1 for a pack of 2 from Kmart. They're like your whiteout tapes. So I sometimes use them if I want to put text on my art journal. So they tend to stick really, really well. But again, if you leave them too long, they get, they don't last very long. What else have I used up? So I used up, I believe this is my last black gesso in Dina Wakeler Media. There was a little bit left in the tube, so I just opened some blank art journal pages and just put it on. Used up a gel medium matte. This nice stuff, the gel medium matte. What else did I use up? So I used up some multi-matte medium. This is from Ranger. This is lovely stuff. I like this stuff. I will repurchase this one. This one is more like a liquid, and it's better for thinner things like napkins, tissue paper, rice paper, collage paper. This one is a bit more like almost like margarine consistency. You can get it on your spatula and tip it upside down. It won't gush everywhere. This one's a bit more liquidy. And it's good for a bit thicker papers and things. I don't tend to like it for napkins because it is that bit thick. You can do it, but the more liquid one works so much better. Now it's about the neglected and the forgotten. Oh no. So what have we neglected and forgotten about and have to throw out? It's a bit sad. It's about half a box worth of stuff. Some scrap dots. In my defence, these are from my shop that I closed over 14 years ago. Things just don't last, do they? I don't know. So this was like 3D dimensional adhesive. Going through a lot of my supplies and old boxes of stuff and trying to put like with like. So putting all my paint pens together, all my paints together, so they get used up and don't get forgotten. These are some glitter paints and some metallic paints I had. Obviously not stored in the right jars. I don't even know where these come from, but they are not very good anymore. Just pull a few things out so I have some room. This got forgotten, unfortunately. This is by Little Birdie Mixed Media Fibre Paste. It is as solid as a rock, obviously, and not a good tight container. Anything with a liquid in it, like texture paste, gesso, paint, they all have a shelf life, and I should have put some Glad wrap on there and sealed the lid, but this is as hard as a rock. Unfortunately, a bit sad, but I think I only used it twice. And this is why I'm trying to group my stuff together. I do have a box up here on my desk. I don't know whether you'll be able to see the tip of the box. It's purple, probably not. And it's got things that need to be used up in it, so I can reach for those first. Delusions glue stick. I found this in my stash and I can't get the lid off. I'm having issues with my strength in my arms at the moment. And it's all dried up. So it got neglected as well. Some glue dots that got neglected. They're not very gluey anymore. This disappointed me. This I really like. Acrylic soft gel medium, and this was quite reasonably priced when I get it on special at Lincraft. I only buy it 40% off. But this was an open one. This was a sealed one. And when I opened it to use it, because I'd sort of run out of this stuff, it's sort of equivalent, but not really. It was all thick. Like, it was sealed. It had this metallic seal on the top of it. So not nice words were said when I opened that up. I do have another one I am using, but I've noticed it's a bit of thicker consistency than I'm used to. What else have we got that's neglected? I don't know. So another Little Birdie. This is glitter paste. Again, it's just all dried up. I don't think these caps are really airtight. I think this came in a class kit years ago, but it is solid as a rock. Unfortunately, Glimmer Glaze. So you really need to go through your supplies and use up stuff that is anything that is liquidy. This, again, this only cost me $5 and probably even got a coupon off that, like a 40% off coupon or something. So I never used to pay much for these. This was a glitter Mod Podge, but unfortunately it's still sealed, but it's as solid as a rock. So it's got water at the top and it's got glitter, and you can't reconstitute it. It's just too solid. So unfortunately, that's out of the stash. This one is an Opal Magic. I used a lot of these in classes before COVID. These next items were used in classes before COVID, and that's all dried up. See how there's only a little bit left in there? And a lot of air gets trapped in the jar and things dry out. I don't think manufacturers actually think about their products and their airtightness of lids when they design them. And these, again, something used prior to COVID, and they all dried up. It's a texture paint paste from Finnabar, but in my defence, I was using these in 2018, 2019. So yeah, that's probably 4 years ago. So they are all dried up, unfortunately. Some of them are rock hard, some of them are just touch hard. This one's rock hard. And I put water in them and tried to shake them up, and they're just not, they're not coming back. You can see water in there and it's solid pieces. So that's a bit sad. Some of them don't have much left in them because we use them heavily in classes. You can hear that one, it's shaking because it's got bits in it. So unfortunately, I've got a couple of those colours left. I think I had 9 of them. So I've got 7 here. I must have 2 that are still sort of okay. This one I tried to put water in it and left it sitting in there for ages and it just won't come back. Unfortunately, when things dry out like this, they're not reconstitutable. Is that the word? I think that is the word. So these are all going to get out of my stash and in the bin today. I'll start my box again. Hopefully it won't take 2 years to go through it again. I didn't realise it had been that long. But my box wasn't sort of overflowing yet. I tend to do these videos when they're overflowing. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of review on some of the products that, and given you a spurt on to go into your stash. Group all your liquidy things together and start using them up. I tend to keep lots of spares, so whenever I saw stuff like this many years ago, I would buy it at Spotlight and have 3 or 4 or 5 spare. Now I'm only keeping sort of 1 spare. So when I get down to about a quarter, I will buy another one. Because I've got, lately there's a lot more reasonably priced things that I can get readily available. I don't have to just rely on sales, if that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense, doesn't it? Clear as mud, right? So I'm trying not to keep as many spares because sometimes they do go yucky and you can't use them. Well, that's my little the good, the bad, the ugly and the poorly neglected for this year probably. Probably won't do another one of these this year. Probably wait for 2024. That's scary to think 2024 is only about 7 months away. And I'll see what I use up for then. It's interesting to put all this together and sort of collect it for a while and see how much you do go through. I was a bit shocked how many paint pens I went through, but I have been doing a lot of paint pen work lately, which I enjoy doing. Bye for now.